How you doing? I'm Big D. Welcome to the show. So, what I want to talk about is my favorite topic, silver. Now, there are many reasons that investors, beginners, and experts immediately chose to stack more than any other precious metal is silver. When the price of silver per ounce is so much lower than the gold price, platinum, palladium, they realize that they can buy substantially more physical metal for their dollar. With its much lower price, buying silver bullion is much more appealing to small or novice investors. That's kind of how I looked at it. I couldn't afford, well, when I started collecting silver at $18 an ounce, gold was about $2,000, $1,800, something like that. So that made perfect sense to me. Maybe I can get a couple hundred ounces and call it a day. Obviously, it wasn't right off the bat. Had to buy a little at a time, 10 ounce here, 10 ounce there. Now, since the market is smaller and there is a high use of financial leverage on a trading exchange, silver is volatile. But its role as both a monetary and investment metal and vital industrial metal make it an exciting commodity. And don't forget the military reasons. The military uses a lot of silver and artillery. Now, we believe the supply and demand picture is extraordinarily bullish. Silver forecast is, they call it bullish. I think it's weird, but historical precedent coupled with current fundamentals point to the likelihood of an explosive super spike in the price of silver and a high price plateau beyond that. In the last super spike in 1979, the white metal went from $6 an ounce to over $49 in 12 months. In other words, that an incredible 600% upsurge over the course of a single year. That's incredible. Now, today, industrial demand will continually increase along with investment benefits. These factors will cause the price per ounce to reach new highs or possibly another huge spike similar to the 1980s. Look at traditional factors why we're bullish in the poor man's gold. And could gold turn into the second type of silver, second precious metal versus some of the others? Because it could overtake gold for some of the professionals, what they're talking about. I don't know if that's going to happen in my lifetime, but you never know. Because right now, the actual demand of silver has put silver in a deficit every year as far as the amount of mining silver that is pulled out of the ground every year. Now, the U.S. debt level reaches tipping point. The U.S. is reaching a record high in debt, and the tipping point may come sooner than later. In 1980, the national debt was a mere $930 billion. Today, it's over $38 trillion. Then tens of trillions more in off-budget debts, obligations accumulated in the last 40 years. The Federal Reserve balance sheet now tops uh, a huge amount. I can't come up with the actual total, so I'm going to have to leave it there. My apologies. With no end in sight of ultra accommodating policies. Now, above ground silver inventories are diminishing, and they are so far behind. I've talked about this in my past shows. where the LBMA has borrowed money from China, or borrowed silver, took it in on a borrowing, and they had to pay very high interest rates for that silver, just so they can keep and suppress the gold, uh, gold and silver, to the point where they can't hold it at that level any longer. India and also China both have silver prices at a much higher price. And with the LBMA not able to supply what is demanded of them, they've pulled silver from the COMEX, and now they're getting it from China. But it's going to happen where everybody says, sorry, we don't have any silver, which is, if you look at the stockpile in any of those locations, you're going to see that they're at a very, very low. Just if some company calls up, says, hey, I need this, it's going to be 8 to 10 weeks before the turnaround of that order is filled because of the supply. They just don't have it. Now, they say it's a 500 million ounces a year that we're in the deficit in the mining industry of silver. I have to say it's got to be a substantially higher level than that to not be able to cover what you see coming out of the COMEX, the LBMA, the Shanghai, etc. Now, global silver demand is high and getting higher. Considering the record growth in demand last year, all signs are pointing to a continuous increase. In 1980, the world population was 4.6 billion people. We've since added another 2.5 billion. Silver is required in a multitude of industries: electrical, consumer health, energy-related applications critical to today's modern economy, such as electric cars, such as solar panels. You get the point. It's just mind-boggling with how much electronics you have. What do you carry around? Watch, phone, um, working on a laptop. You got tablets. It's just crazy of the amount of electronics that are needed. Look at what's going on with the chip manufacturing. The amount of silver that's needed just for these chips to be manufactured. No other metal can do anything close to what silver does. The connectivity, reflectability, there's nothing out there that comes close. So when I see what I'm seeing, it looks like to me silver is not going to be on this planet much longer. You see gold being recovered or recycled regularly. You can go on YouTube and you can pull it out. You don't really see a lot of recycling YouTube channels that are recycling silver. You see a few, but they're not getting a lot of silver. The amount of silver for that they're getting out of anything is probably not even a half a gram. So it's going to be a long time before they're going to tear down 1,000 things just to get an ounce of silver. That's if they process it properly. They make sure it's 100%. It, until there's a reason to have an industry that recycles electronics for silver, I don't think it's going to be a possibility. Um, and then they got to make it profitable, and silver being almost $59 today. Is it really worth it? Again, there's a lot of speculation on where we're going. Now, unlike other metals, it is consumed in a very small increments, making recycling very difficult. In other words, once it is used, it is usually gone forever, practically speaking. I mean, these solar farms, you're hearing more and more how huge hailstorms are coming through and destroying these solar fields, and all the panels have to be replaced. What is the chance that someone goes in there, takes all those panels, and starts recycling them? Very slim. Now, at the same time, it is generally an incidental cost in the product that uses it, such that a dramatic increase in the price will not necessarily cause substitution. A hint of a shortage could cause industry users to suddenly hoard the metal and drain remaining available inventories. I mean, think of just the amount of silver that, say, Tesla needs daily. I don't even know if I could come up with that idea. Investors' demand is surging. From 1990 to 2005, had been net sellers of silver. In 2006, we witnessed what appears to be a major sea change in the market. The public again became net buyers. In 2014, demand of American mint silver coins soared to record highs of more than 44 million units, a number that would surely have been higher if demand had not completely overwhelmed the government run mint's production capabilities at the time. I'm pretty sure that I heard this the other day that the US Mint isn't minting for the last probably 3-4 years the amount of silver eagles that are required, and I believe it's in the Constitution. Now, the gold silver ratio is in a range of 70 to 90, which depends on when you look at it. It's up and down, up and down, but it comes out of the ground at 7 to 1. So, how do you get it to 70, 90? Well, it's where you manipulate the system. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but JP Morgan and their traders, they were in two issues where they had to pay fines, and some of the traders had to go to jail because of their manipulation of the silver market. Not a good idea to go against the law, especially if you're going to get caught or a possibility. You might want to rethink that before you do something not smart. Now, save U.S. silver coins has been used as money throughout human history and are in the process of reassuming that role. As faith in government fiat money, such as Federal Reserve notes, diminishes, savers, investors worldwide are embracing gold products and silver products as a store of value. Investors are paying more attention to the declining purchasing power of the US dollar than ever before and replacing it with physical precious metals like silver or mint gold bars. Have you looked up what the purchasing power of your US dollar that you carry around in your pocket? Well, the last I checked, it was about 3.7 cents. That was the purchasing power. What I mean by purchasing power, yes, you can take it to the store and you can buy $1 worth of product. The problem is The inflation has caused it to decline so substantially. That's why it's only worth 33.7 cents. And it's right on the website, the federal website. You can check it out yourself. I'm not pulling something out of my butt. Well, thank you for stopping in. And if you do like what you saw, I do a lot of the silver shows because it's one of my favorite topics. I would appreciate it if you subscribe. You can get all the notifications that way by hitting the bell notification for all. Hit the like button too. I appreciate it. Have a great day and God bless.